got one question for you. Are you ready?
And we are live again.
Again?
We are. Oh, wait a second. We're only
James
live
go?
once.
Now James is missing.
James is tick off. James is like, hey, there's the man, the myth, the
There's
legend. Let's get him in there.
Everybody went off, and I'm like, okay, are we redoing this or something, or what? Wait a minute, where'd everybody go?
So you have to remove everybody out of the front intro screen before the intro screen plays, because otherwise you get to see everybody in the background for a second, and then it goes to the intro. So I'm trying to be professional, but
still learning here, guys.
We're still learning. So here's what just happened, and why you are seeing this about 15 minutes late. Which, for viewers that don't even know what just happened, Andy hit the record only button on StreamYard, and it streamed to nobody for 15 minutes. So we will later have a very nice interview of Ben, who told us a lot of things, and thus we're done. Okay, thank you.
You had to be there. You had to be there, guys.
You had to be there. It was a great room conversation.
15 minutes of nobody watching. I was looking at the comments like, man, it was
deep and thought provoking. I mean, and just you guys are gonna miss out. I'm sorry.
You did. We had a really great conversation about how Andy is a dumbass and hit the wrong button. It would be nice to be what I had this moment of like, wouldn't it be nice to have vision, Andy? It would be nice to have vision. That's what I said to myself.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So
that was the first
everybody,
time that ever happened. Next time they gotta make a little note.
Yeah.
Don't
hit the
click
right button.
other button. If Andy is not
button.
Well, do you know what it is, and it actually comes up with a totally different thing. It just comes up with like, hey, a bar that says what the title is, and that's it. Right. So I should have known better immediately. But, that's part of the whole lovely gift of us being on these shows and learning. But you know what we do have is that James has an amazing background now, and he is looking really swift. And so I'm enjoying that. That's pretty cool. And we have Ben on.
These big old lights around,
it's cool. I mean, it's looking good. You're looking good. And then we got Ben, who is an awesome, as anybody who does not know Ben, we've had him on several times, but he's a personal, really great friend of mine, as well as to the show. We went to Jersey together, hung out all weekend. We've had a good time. We've got to meet a couple times, one time. And we hang out in the background, but he's also a lead singer for an amazing metal band. And he has a couple. So let's talk. We'll rehash what we talked about for about 15 minutes. But you now have a band that has a couple new songs out. So let's talk about your EP and then anything else you're working on again.
Yeah, 5 songs. It's available on iTunes, it's Spotify, and Amazon, and all the good ones are most of them. I don't know. We used a service called DistroKid. If you look into it, and I think it's like $20 a year. And so it's a way to, you go, it's something that I often wondered how you do. so you go record, you record all your songs, you get them, you're like, hey, these sound great. Okay, now you get the files, and DistroKid allows you, they're your label. So it gives you a distribution point to all these different places like Spotify, like iTunes, and this and that, and then they put it out there. And I thought, well, that's easy. And so we did that. 5 songs. There's one cover song in there. General Art of Making Enemies by Faith No More. We cover it, and I'm glad we didn't mess that up too bad, because I mean that's my favorite band of all time. I was supposed to go see them last month. That did not happen. It's okay. I've reserved myself to the fact that I'm probably never going to see them. I've almost twice, but
I can't believe that too, because we talked about this. That was such a big thing for you to do.
Well, my wife was. We lost it in 2020. You know, the everything just got shut down, and I had tickets to go to. You know, it was going to be Korn and Faith No More, and everything got shut down. It's like, you know, that's a real bummer, but understandable. And then, all right, fast forward to this year, it's just like, hey, they're going to be in Pittsburgh, PA. I grabbed tickets. My bassist grabbed tickets, Doug. And it was like, that's awesome. We're going to go see him. Mike Patton, actually, the lead singer of Faith No More, had mental health issues or whatever, and he canceled the rest of the tours. He says it was exacerbated by the past year or so, and he didn't want to do a tour that he couldn't give 100%, that he wasn't into. And I from a musician standpoint, I get it. From a fan standpoint, it's like, do your job. Just do your job. What are you doing? So the second round, even though it sucked, it was just like, it's par for the course. Okay, that's it's just the way the past couple of years have gone. I'm not even going to get upset about stuff anymore. I'm just going to be like, oh, maybe next year. Maybe it'll be a thing next year. Anyway, we did that one cover song because favorite band of all time. Initially, we were going to do a Marilyn Manson cover, Tourniquet.
Okay.
And nice. But then all the news popped up, and it was like, you don't know what to believe when all the news popped up about the girls coming out against Marilyn and this and that. It's like, it may not be in good taste to do a cover. Could we have done it? I'm sure nobody would have cared. Whatever. But it was like, maybe we'll go with this other cover song that we do. And then two of the songs, Spin and New Element, are songs from 12 years ago. And then It's Over and Comply are brand new, written, since we got back together. So it's really quite the mix up, a cover tune, two old songs and two brand new songs. So it's a little bit of, how we've progressed as a band. It's nice. It's I think it came out really well, and Spin especially. I had a sneaking suspicion it was going to be the more popular of the songs because it's a little more radio friendly. I was like, oh, come on, Comply, come on, It's Over, you can do it. And then on Spotify, it shows the first song as being the most popular played, and that Spin went up to the top. I'm like, oh, I knew it. I called it.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, the fact that you get, there's some bands that don't even get play. Like, you look at their playlist and it's like 2 plays, and it was probably them. Does this work? Is this working again? Do you know what I'm amazed by? And this is something that, and we kind of talk about that, and we've talked about this in the past, where I like we're both older in this world. We're not old, dead, but we are both having fun with music again. And we have no expectation to go touring with it. I would love no more than to just get an acoustic, maybe here in the next. That's my Christmas present, probably. Go get an acoustic and just do a jam night once every month and just have fun playing guitar. And I think you're at the same exact space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Really, it's. I think last time we talked, and it nothing has changed. That when you're in your 20s. Even 30s, the early 30s, you have this notion of getting signed, and I think I talked before about I don't even know what that is anymore. It's because the internet has made everything so different. But you're gonna do it. You're gonna become Linkin Park. You're gonna become Korn. You're gonna blah blah blah. And then there's something about when you're grown up. You've been married. You have kids. You this and that. Now you're purely doing it for the love of the music, for the love of hanging out with your friends. And that's what it is to me. If something comes of it, awesome. If nothing comes of it, awesome. I'm good. I'm really good. I think we can play some local shows. I think that'll be what got axed out when the interview didn't go the first round was that we don't have a scene here in town unless you can gather up enough bands. I mean, this is a small town of like 4,000 people. They're not exactly into our style of music, but Rochester, New York has a new metal scene that, we'd be more than welcome into if we, push for it. But right now, getting our feet under, to where we're confident, okay, we're just, we can play this, that without any mess ups, and then, you got to do a half an hour, 45 minutes. That's fine. And I think we're capable of doing it, but, until the time comes that we get a show, there's no need to focus on, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's just still enjoy the moment, still write, and do what we love to do.
See, and that's a huge thing. I think that's a huge thing. To me, that's huge that you're enjoying it. It's like we've had a lot of musicians that they're passionate and they love what they're doing, and that is what is making them drive more than anything else. It's not the fame. And we've had people that have been on American Idol.
Yeah.
And they're just passionate about singing. That's what they're after. They're not after, the fame that goes along with it. And I think this is something that's interesting, is that probably that once you get it, you don't want it.
Yeah. I'm
always better to kind of have fun and enjoy the music first before you even get famous or whatever. Like you said, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, you're still enjoying what you do.
Yeah, I'm a fair. I don't, through the making beard content videos and this and that thing is really still a thing. I'm a fairly reserved person unless you get to know me, and then I'm like type of thing. I have a hard time being the center of attention. I'll do it if I have to do it. I'm confident in myself that I can handle the position. That's why I'm a singer and a man.
Yeah.
I can do it, but if you're going to give me a choice not to stand in front of people, I'm probably going to just sit back and just observe.
Nothing wrong with that. And what? But the world needs more humble people. It doesn't need the flamboyant. I don't know if you get. I wonder about that. If you go to LA and you go, "Hey, I'm going to be a star," what makes you that? Yeah. And this is what's interesting. Gary from last week, Gary Wolf, was on our show, and he had the same. He was in that same position. He was at, what was it, South by Southwest or something? That big, yeah. So he was in a Texas show, and he was like, he had Sony actually talking to him, and they said, "You guys look like 5 guys playing music that are all individual. You guys don't look like a band." Mm-hmm. And so it's amazing, even though he was passionate as heck, how very you have to be in sync to get to that record contract, which is everybody want the coveted money from the record contract.
Yeah.
Which nowadays isn't as good is a big deal as it used to be, but still it's like those are the things that are like the 0.05% people. That's why they get in, is because they were in the right place, right time, and they looked right.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me. And I think that there's going to be, my personal take is there's going to be a genre of old guy music, where people, they're like, "Hey, I want some dad bod music." And that is where they're going to come. They're going to be like, "Hey, I need to hear a really good guitarist who sits in his closet all day and records music." That's who they need next. Yeah. And then second, of course, a really awesome lead singer with a great band.
What is blowing my mind, like I discussed, you're almost what are you, 48? I'm 44. Right. Our local radio station, we have our own radio station in town, WDNY, Dansville, New York. And they play classic rock. Well, I'm hearing Metallica, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I'm like, hold the phone. No.
This is classic rock now.
It is. It's 30 years old. It's just like, boy, I really dated myself there, didn't I? Oh my god! Don't get me wrong, it's nice. It's just like I'm working away, and I was just like, hold up, is that Alice in Chains? They are playing Alice in Chains, aren't they?
This is when you realize you're old, because we're like, I remember when that song came out.
Yeah. Yep.
I was older. I was old when that song came out. I was like 26, 27 when Alice in Chains came out.
Yep.
You're like, I was riding my bike around the block or whatever, like with my friends, and it's like, when that song came out, it's like,
who was it? Oh, it's the Offspring was on today, and it was just like, I specifically remember, because this is the house I grew up in, and I specifically remember being in that living room right there, watching MTV and seeing the Offspring for the very first time, their very first song, and I was just like, oh, all right, this is pretty cool, and then hearing it, yesterday on the radio, I'm like, I still remember that. Like,
what was it? Was it Keep It Separated?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was the song.
That we used to have my dad bought like an $800 stereo, and it had these big stacks. It had a 5 CD changer when those were those were the new thing. You had single disc, then you were really doing well if you had a 5 disc. Well, I had bought Alice in Chains Dirt, and the first song is and it scared the crap out of me. And then the neighbors were complaining to my dad that they could hear the walls vibrating. I had it turned up so loud.
That's the way good music's supposed to be played, folks.
That's right.
There you go.
Loud and hard. Yep. You don't have eardrums anymore.
Yep.
All right. What's so funny? Go ahead.
When I went to the doctor, they were doing I have a little bit of hearing loss in my right ear, but they were just like, other than that, your hearing's pretty good. I'm like, really? Because I work on cars around, just loud stuff. I race go-karts, loud stuff, and I'm in a band, just loud stuff. And I'm like, you're telling me I'm only missing a little bit of hearing? All right, I'll take it.
There you go.
Yes. That's so funny. What is your favorite? What do you think your favorite moment about being a musician currently is? What do you think? Like, what's your favorite part of this?
That's the not so much the recording process, because it's tedious. Even for vocals, like I have to lay down, multiple tracks of the same thing just so it's a good blend. Or you can, if you got a flub here or there, but it's the after effect, like when you've gone in and drums go first, they're playing around to scratch guitars, and then the bass fills in, and then the guitars come in, and then vocals come in, and all of a sudden you get the mixed track, and you're like, hell yeah, like it just all.
Whoopsies.
And they're great.
Wow, that was yeah.
I saw Logan blink. I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, you went out and then you came back in. I was happy to see you back. I was like, what?
I'm here. But the culmination of all the music, all the pieces coming together, and spin. I loved the original version of Spin, and it's on our Facebook page. I think it's still there, but it's hollow sounding. This is like a thicker, denser, just like more musicianship has been put into this version. And I'm like, yeah, that's nice.
I have really enjoyed everything. So we're going to listen to one really quick here, but first we have to talk about desserts.
Ooh, desserts.
Did you happen to bring one, Ben, or you can talk about your favorite dessert?
I do like, creme brulee is probably my favorite. My wife had to remind me because I never would have come up with that name.
Yeah.
I also like lemon meringue pies. Those are good too. Yeah.
Lemon meringue pie is good. I do like lemon meringue. So I'm still on a diet, folks, and I cut up fresh pineapple.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's actually it's really super good. I cut up
I love fresh pineapple is so good.
Yep.
It's in a category of it's a snack fruit, but still somewhat healthy.
Yep.
The weird fact about pineapple is that it has something, and the thing that makes your mouth feel weird is it actually has like a thing that actually is like acid that eats your skin, and that's what you're feeling when you eat it. I was like, oh.
I have
while it's tasting you back.
Yeah, I have 2 cans of. I tried a trial run a couple weeks ago. I have a pellet smoker, and I tried a trial run of them, but smoked pineapple rings. And you put you put honey glaze on them, and then I actually, what was it, or what is that called? Toaster. What is that called, Debbie? The cereal. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. The dust. Yeah, I put that on top, and then I smoked them. Dude. And it was too much smoke, so I'm going to up the temperature. I'm going to up the time, dry them out a little better than that, but it's same treatment on them, and it was good.
Oh my god!
No doubt. Wow, that is really good.
Yeah, use the honey as a binder, and then put the
And the smoky pineapple has a really good.
that sounds amazing.
One of my favorite. So there's a product that one of our friends makes it's called Kauai, and it has that smoky pineapple kind of taste or smell. And I think the smoke actually enhances the pineapple personally.
Yep.
So James, we know. What did you bring? You didn't bring just. I'm hoping you brought a banana. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. I don't have a banana.
So I can beat it with a fresh pineapple. Fresh pineapple. Yeah, fresh pineapple beats banana.
Yeah. This is more on the not healthy side. This is like not diet food right here.
What is it? What is it?
Yeah, I'm gonna see. Okay, this is.
Whatever it was. Say it again. What was it? I think you froze up on me there for a second.
It always freezes up like when it's apple bread pudding.
Apple bread pudding. Oh my word.
Yeah. Ooh, I haven't had bread pudding in a minute.
Apple.
Yeah, bread pudding's good.
It is good. It is super good.
I got pudding in general. Pretty big fan of that.
So this is my favorite moment. One of my favorite stories about growing up is, you know how if you make pudding from scratch, there's that hard layer that gets over the top of it. That's kind of like because all the stuff.
Yeah.
I would sit and I would like make a little piece so I could scrape the pudding out of it so that I could eat that last bit of pudding at the very end. Oh
yeah, my grandmother was infamous at that, and I loved my grandma's cooking. And I say loved on purpose because when she's 86 now, she puts walnuts in everything, and it drives me effing nuts. It really does. In Jell-O, in cookies, it ruins everything. I'm like, dude, what are you? I love you. Thank you. Jell-O. Stop putting walnuts in everything. I mean, I don't mind walnuts. I just don't like them in Jell-O and cookies. That's
that's hilarious. I love walnuts, and I always ate those. Like my parents always had, like during Christmas time only, they would have that big bowl of mixed nuts that you had to use that cracker.
Yeah.
The nutcracker. So I just sit there, and that's the only time I ever ate it. And other than that, I was, like maybe a peanut in my Snickers. That was it.
Right.
I can't imagine eating walnuts and everything. That's an odd one. Like almonds,
I've said just nicely, I'm like, Grandma, please, if you're going to make that, could you just make one batch without it? And she's like, they're healthy, Benjamin. And I'm like, that's great. Can you stop putting them in stuff? And then I went and mowed her lawn. Her husband had a surgery. He couldn't mow the lawn. So I mowed the lawn, 2-3 times. And it's lots of acreage. It's a big yard. So, and she brings up brownies, and sure as she's got walnuts in it. And I'm like, you're killing me. You're killing me.
I love it. So
she knows better. She's my elder, so she knows better, I guess.
She's like, hey, you need some more nuts in your life.
Yeah.
You always have to kind of fake a nut allergy.
Yeah.
Oh, Grandma, they make my head swell.
I am allergic.
Yeah, please, no more walnuts. It's also she's got this thing like she's got those those Glade plugins, the Country Apple. she has got about 1 million of them in her house. I swear, in everything that comes out of there, it doesn't matter if it is brownies or whatever. It's got this slight hint of apple, and it's like, you need to calm down on those things. Like everything, if it's in her pots and pans, smell like apple. Like they're from a cupboard. Like holy smokes! What?
It should be like a wall. I thought you were gonna say walnuts at first.
Yeah.
Walnut flavored Glade plug-in.
Yeah. Oh.
We have those. We got some sort of special thing that you plug in that now is like it's not quite a warmer. It's not quite a Glade plug-in. It's like in between.
Yep.
And like, who is it? Lush sells them or something like that. And they are now all over my house. So at any given time, it smells like fresh cookie or cotton.
Yeah.
One of the two. And you're like, what's that smell? Why does it smell? It shouldn't smell like that in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's cookies. I'm like, why'd you put cookies in the bathroom? Cookie smell. That's not something you.
Yeah.
Making cookies.
Yeah, making cookies. So anyway, so let's listen to one of your tracks really quick.
Okay.
You sent over 2. These are really, these are amazing. So
yeah, whatever.
Being
I'm in the band and I'm giving you permission, YouTube should probably leave you alone.
They should, but they always
should.
They copy.
We'll see. Hey, YouTube, pay attention. I actually wrote this stuff, so mess up, piss off type of thing.
Here we go.
All right.
And then it died.
They didn't want to hear me sing.
What was that all about? That's crazy.
Don't know.
We'll say the first 32 seconds are
YouTube shutting you down.
It did. It really did. It won't let me play anymore. That's crazy.
We're copyrighted. You can't steal that.
Well, that's what we would like to listen to more, but you're going to have to go on Spotify to go.
Yeah.
But it's sorry you can't listen to it all, but it's over.
Yeah.
That's the end. Thank you. And so this ends. This has been, oh my goodness, what a night.
Yeah.
First we start off with recording in the wrong place, and then it won't play the music. I knew that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, lessons learned. Go check them out on Spotify, folks. Go check them out.
Yeah, a little
taster. You got to
really want to listen to it now. So.
The first time I was on with you, nothing was online, so they didn't care. Now that I'm actually out there, It's like, hey, we recognize that song. You can't do that.
It must have. It just shut it down. It was weird. Either that, or you can only play from your Google Mail for so long without it doing something weird. So,
it could be. Yep.
That's what I think. I think it was just not wanting to play anymore on Google Mail. It was like, hey, what are you doing here?
Yeah. This is not an audio player.
This is not an audio player. You cannot play. And so I was like, oh. And then we put my dad on, and it was like we had to deal with commercials from places.
Oh, really?
Wow. We were doing SoundCloud, and in order to get the commercial free, I think you have to like actually pay for it. So
that's our recording guy, Jesse, who recorded all the songs. He asked if I, was SoundCloud or anything, and I'm just like, I don't know the first thing about SoundCloud. I'm like, nope, we're not on there, as far as I know. Well,
I tried to do Spotify earlier, like Spotify web browser, because maybe you could do that through it.
Right.
But I think that something locked. That was crazy. It locked it out. It was like, nope. Yeah. And I couldn't. It still showed it playing, but it wasn't moving and not doing anything. Right. So I'm just like, big fail. Tonight's music is one. We got 0 for 2 on some of this, but
it cut off right before my vocals came in. So it's just like, hey, crazy? We're not listening to that guy.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Stupid. Nope. Anyway, you have the driving, but here's the thing about it is that sounds so professional that you could not tell me that it was something, you know what I'm saying? It's so good and so crisp and so good that you're like, there's no way that is somebody made it. I mean, and I know that you guys paid a studio, you went into a studio, you guys did the studio work, but it sounds so good that you're just like, you guys did a great job of mixing. And you're by,
I don't know what the conversation was about, but there was somebody bigger that was talking about it. Like, that there's so much music out there that it is just like, all these artists are, getting overlooked. And it's just like, yeah, there's so much out there that regardless, you have to be lucky. You have to be, some say our music's out there and somebody, it just happens to be recording a movie or something like that. And they hear your song and then they're like, hey, I really like the song. And then they put it on a soundtrack, and then that's how you get noticed type of thing. And I think it's really a lot of that because you've had some phenomenal, musicians on here and, from the main stage of things, the seeable market, the pop, the bands that are metal that do make it. It's so small. It's so very small, and there's a lot of bands. I'm not saying that we're great or anything. I think we're pretty decent, but bands like us will get overlooked, and I understand because there's literally millions of bands out there, millions of artists out there that get overlooked every day. It's just part of the game.
Right.
And even music nowadays, I mean, music on the radio, it gets played out. I mean, it really just goes by, I'm saying, what's more popular on the radio, and that's like everybody else kind of gets skipped over, and that's what kind of sucks as well because really, it's almost kind of getting flooded with like, rap and hip hop and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like honestly, like that's almost like taking over. Like that, the classic rock is gonna. I mean, it's not gonna be classic. It's gonna be classic music, and that's gonna be the classic music. Is that crap?
And when you're listening to like we have Sirius at work, and when I get the chance to choose the channel, which is rarely ever, it's usually just classic rock, and it's fine. I like classic rock as much as the next guy, but I don't choose to listen to Octane, which would be newer metal stuff. I choose to listen to Turbo, which is 90s and 2000s metal because that's the genre I'm from. That's what I enjoy. So it's just like I'm not even really interested in hearing anything new. So I'm like, I can't be mad at other people for not wanting to listen to my band because, like I like what I like. Leave me alone.
Right. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I just think that the genres of music are also, there's so much more genres than there were. Like when metal was out, it was like, we didn't even call it glam metal. It was just hard rock.
Yeah.
It was either hard rock or metal. It wasn't.
And I know technically we're a metal band, but it's not metal per se. It's not metal. It's not new metal. It's just kind of our own version of what we consider to be, heavy, hard rock, hard metal stuff. I said that, I don't listen to a lot of new stuff. I will say that Spirit Box, and I really enjoy SJ's stuff. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's really creative. Yeah. Holy crap. I'm like, every time I hear one of her jams, I'm like, yep.
And she did one with Korn, and then she's like referencing a thing with Dave Navarro. I'm like,
yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's awesome.
That's insane. Yeah.
I love that song that she did with
oh my
with
God,
Morgan.
bro.
Yep, with Morgan. Yeah, it's phenomenal too.
And the way they filmed that too, like it was amazing too, because they filmed it in two separate spots. Like she filmed it in one spot in the desert, and then she filmed.
And she said she records everything with her phone. It's an iPhone.
Yeah,
and it's just like that kind of, it got in my head that I was gonna, I have so many ideas and no time to do anything. I was like, I'm gonna record a video for one of our songs, and then I'm like, it sounds like a lot of work. Yeah,
you're like, that's awesome. It's gonna be awesome. Oh, I can't.
I have all these visions, and then it's just like, well, I get home or I go to boxing practice or whatever, and do an exercise with my son and everything, and I get home and I sit in my recliner. I'm like, nah.
Isn't that true? I mean, that's just the way of it.
Yep.
It's the good thing about it is that we spend a lot of time finding new music and trying to get newer stuff, and then our cool thing is we're trying to promote it. So we have our job entailed like just trying. We don't have there's so many musicians and so many people related to the music industry that I don't think we will ever have a drought. It'll just be about finding the right one for a week and making sure that they can come on and stuff. But we have I mean, we're what, 22 episodes in, 23 episodes. And very rarely do we have problems with anybody coming. I mean, most people are just like, hey, sure, no problem. I want to talk music. And it's amazing to me that I go onto TikTok and there is just musician after musician, especially if you put in what do you like? What is why are you on TikTok? Music and entertainment. So when I started just picking lives for music, it's person after person after person after person. I mean, it's just, and usually it's just some guy in his room. It's either DJing or he's playing guitar.
Yeah.
And it's like 200 or 300 a night.
Yeah.
And that's just people that while I'm just going through TikTok, there's 200 or 300 people show up on I'm like, okay, let me go down my live list.
Yeah.
Guy playing guitar, another guy playing guitar, another guy playing guitar, another guy playing metal guitar, another guy playing acoustic. It's just saturated. And I don't know. Yeah. I think that people need to know that it's like what we have day jobs. So be a musician, but it may not work out with all of the stuff that's going on where what you're talking about. So I'm going to go full circle, which is why you have to have the passion and just enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah. Yep. Right. That's we got talking about Monday at band practice where minus our he had a not a job interview. Our drummer had, he might be moving to a different position in the company he's working for. So he had to go and do some this and that. It was just like, no problem. Take care of your family, man. That's we'll be here when you get back type of thing. But we're talking about, what I again, last time we talked, like, I don't know what I would do if that ever came to fruition. If, if somebody's just like, all right, you got to record a whole album, you got to go and tour it. It'd be like, what? No, right. I can't. It's like, I
can't do that right now.
Yep. So I got responsibilities, man. I can't just up and leave. And it's just more power to the people could do it. I love, the passion. I love that they're driven that way. Like, hey, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to do this. But it's just like, when you're not set in your ways, when you're adult and you have responsibilities, it's just like, you can't just fly off the seat of your pants, go do whatever you want. It's just like, hey, man, I gotta, pay, I gotta keep the lights on. I gotta make sure everybody's fed, that our vehicles are maintained, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, I can't just up and leave for months at a time. That won't work. Unless somebody, flashed a whole bunch of, money, like, hey, we'll pay you this amount to go do it. And I'll be like, oh, all right. But that's never a guaranteed thing, so it's coming from this position. I'm sure people who have made it can't understand why you wouldn't take a shot at it. But coming from this position, you have responsibilities that you're not willing to just be like, oh, caution to the wind, let's go.
Right.
It's a tough thing to even think about. Like, it blows my mind.
I think it's a young man's game to do it, to do it full time. I think it's a young man's game. I don't think that, right now, I could. Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think I play decent guitar. I don't play great guitar. I'm not like a Eddie Van Halen, but I play decent. But I have now a position that I make fairly good money. You would have to offer me a lot of money for a sustainable future for me to say, I'm going to quit doing this to do that. And then the other thing is would you want to do that for 30 years, for 20 more years?
And it's, I've had conversations. Our sound engineer, the guy who owns the studio, is Jesse Sprinkle, and he's been in Demon Hunter. He's been in Dead Poetic. He's done the whole travel in the country in a van, sleeping wherever they can sleep just to play shows, just to get their music out there. And he's talked about these interesting times he had and this and that, but it also sounds kind of miserable. Like,
Right.
You mean you had to sleep, with a whole bunch of dudes, just kind of wadded up in a van, like just getting the sleep you can. I'm like, ugh.
Right.
I like my
It might
bed.
be all right for like the first like week or something, but when
Yeah,
you're like
yeah.
into shit,
Hey,
that's
this is
like
adventurous, but then
nope.
after it's like, dude, can we get a hotel or something? Like my
That's like
back.
don't touch me.
But that's
Don't touch me. Don't put your head on me. Don't do nothing.
Yep.
And what we're talking about is why I chose at 17 years old not to be a professional musician. My parents were all musicians. So my dad's a musician, my mom's a musician, and I heard the stories about people living on floors in LA and sitting in trying to get your work out. And I said, I'm not that passionate to do that.
Yeah.
I got good grades. I can go and do something else.
Yep. In my family, I have very musically inclined people. My mother sings wonderfully; she can play the piano. My sister can play the piano. My grandmother went to there's a music college essentially up in Rochester, New York. Here, she did that. She played the organ. She sang in the church choir. My uncle plays the trumpet. He plays in a big band thing. It's ingrained. And I mean, it's like there's a blooming apple tree, and I'm kind of the rotten. Like the one that's just clinging on the end of the, like just ready to fall off, but I'm still technically musical. You
know what though? I have to say, and I'm going to say this, that I think I know you're humble as hell, but you are really a good musician. And we've talked about the fact that you know how to keep your voice in tune as well as to be able to do the screaming and not hurt your vocal cords.
Right.
Just to know those things and to be able to sustain it and be able to do that for hours on end.
Yeah.
That's a musician versus somebody who's going out there who's going to lose their vocal cords first gig.
It's funny because mention this metal music screaming stuff, and my boss, I'm just picking on him for shits and giggles because he's one of the people that said it. Just like, oh, it must be hard, just. I was like, be my guest. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Be my guest, and let's hear what you sound like, because I'll have a conversation with you just like this after I'm done doing that.
Right. And that's huge.
They're like,
go ahead, James.
No, I was saying it's while they're like, I can't talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
way back when I used to live in a trailer like 10 miles out of town here, and we had a barn, and that was one of the we practiced in the loft of the barn. And there was many a time where I barely could talk, or I'd scream so hard that I almost blacked out, and just bad things. Of course, it was accompanied with partying, so that didn't help the situation. But all those bad times, translated into something that all of a sudden my vocal cords became accustomed to it. Like, oh, okay, even the 12-year hiatus that we took in the band, when I came back in, a little sore when we don't practice for a week or so, come back in, my vocal cords get a little sore, but they're still there. And I still have the ability to do it. I haven't forgotten. It's like riding a bike. You haven't forgotten how to do it. It's just whether or not, you got to stabilize yourself a little bit every now and again. Like, ooh, that's new.
What I've really enjoyed about picking up music again is the ability to expand what I used to do. I used to just play 80s metal. So I did, a lot of 80s metal riffs. And now I'm expanding myself into doing, different types of scales and trying to do more jazz. What have you been doing that's kind of pushing your boundaries as a musician?
Writing songs that have singing in it. I am, even though Spin came off pretty good. I wrote that 12 years ago, so it's second nature to me to sing that song the way it was written, or how I wrote it back then. We wrote a new song that called No Rush that is a little more singy, along the lines of Spin. Obviously not the same, but hopefully it's one of the ones that I don't know if we'll get to record it ourselves or not, or what happens with it, but it's along the more radio-ish friendly. It's still got, I don't think I scream in the whole thing till the very end, but it is, singing is more difficult for me than screaming is. Keeping it, because I've heard, monotone people, I've heard flat people, and I have a tendency to go flat if it's, out of my range, and trying to keep where I'm nice and, I'm happy with that. That's difficult for me, but I enjoy it when it comes out right. Spin, when that came out right, I'm like, there we go.
How do you how do you prepare your, like, when you do like those screams and stuff like that? How do you prepare your either the day before or that day? How do you prepare your voice or throat to kind of
Nothing. I just
take
do
that?
it.
Nothing.
Lots of water in between songs. That's
Right.
or during songs. Sometimes I'd be one of those. That's another thing. If I ever have to do a show that's more than half an hour, 45 minutes, I'm gonna have to pee, because it's like you just pop your vocal cords do get sore, so you hit it with water or something, something liquid, and to calm everything down will just makes you have to pee. That's the
What's he doing over there? What's he doing over there in the corner?
Literally, I'll get to band practice, and typically I'm a diva. The singer doesn't have to be there for them to play music, so I roll in late. But within 5 minutes of me being there, we're doing something like, it's over, or comply or something like that, and I'm screaming like right away, and it's normal for me that I don't even think about it. I just do it, and it's towards the end of practice when it's a 2-hour, 2.5-hour practice. At the end, they're just like, "Hey, maybe we should play this again," and I'm like, "Nope, you can play it. I'm not doing it."
Now, where do you guys go to practice at?
My best friend Doug, he's the bassist. That's how this all got started for the second round of this. He bought a house in town. He kind of he worked out of state and this and that, kind of bounced around. Then he came back to Dansville. He bought a house in town, and then he has a 2-car garage. And he's just like, "Hey, what do you think about doing the band thing again?" I'm like, "Where would we practice?" He says, "I have a 2-car garage. We can split it in half." And I'm like, "Okay." We hung up a whole bunch of moving blankets and this and that in our band practice room, or his thing, and then got a hold of the drummer, got a hold of one guitarist who's not with us anymore, got a hold of our original-ish kind of guitarist, Sean, and then then we picked up the other Sean, and bloop, we band practice in a garage. Yep.
Yeah. So what happened to the other guitarist? Is it just kind of like he just couldn't do it anymore, or
Richie he's one of the funniest people I've ever met. He's literally he's a walking comedian. He's hilarious, but he also has a whole bunch of irons in the fire. That he's a family. He teaches computers over in a school system, so he has that going on. He has a regular job. It's just he wants to be in a band, didn't have the time to be in the band, and he was constantly a no call, no show, type of thing. And it's just like, Richie, we love you to death, man, but we got to move along. That's when Doug found email for Sean, and it was just like, "Hey, you still into being in a band?" And he hadn't really, played much of anything besides acoustic stuff in a while. He's just like, "Yep, let's do this."
That's cool. I love it.
I love it.
Yep. That's what happens, and I'm glad that you're able to do that. I have never been in a band. I have never been in that, and I've always wanted to be. I had a chance when I was in like 10th grade to be in a band, but my grades were so important to my parents that I was a straight A kid. So being in that space was always more important than any of the other social stuff that I did. So that was, and I was also in marching band, or in band. So I played clarinet. So they thought that was good enough. And man, I missed out on that. It would have been fun. And I just never pursued it in college.
It is fun. It comes with its adversities. Different personalities make for a good time. Different personalities also make for a tough time sometimes, because personalities conflict. The reason you always hear about, big bands, Poison or whoever, the infighting and this and that, is because they're different people. And firsthand, I've been in bands throughout the years, that personalities conflict. It happens. You kind of get over it, or you don't get over it. It's just, you go about your day. It happens. Right now we're in a real good place. doesn't mean that sometimes somebody. I'll tell I'm a nice guy, but you push me far enough, I'll be like, hey, cut that out.
But I think we're older and honest and have a little bit more wisdom about us. I think maybe that's something that works for
approaching it in a different manner. When I was in my 20s, I might have, there's a disagreement about, the way the song was written, or, hey, you did this or that. I may have reacted a lot different than I do now. I'm positive of it. It'd be like, I come at it more of a, hey, could we not, I get it why you're doing that. Please stop. It's more respectful, and especially since there's no real, maybe my situation's unique, or there's no real push to go out and play all these gigs and this and that. It's just, this is for fun. Let's keep it fun. That's right. My perception on it. As soon as it stops being fun, it's just like, hey, could we not do that? Like, keep it fun, please. Just my opinion on it.
No, I love it.
Keep it fun.
Yeah.
That's what, and so between me and James, that's exactly what we said. This is fun for us, and as soon as it stops being fun, we'll probably stop doing it.
Yeah. Yep.
We're trying to be a little bit more professional because we are trying to influence people to watch our show so that they can see new musicians.
Yeah.
So that's a plus. But I think that we'll get to a point to where we'll get what we need. Maybe we'll be on time and I won't hit the wrong button. But
remember that one time when we thought we were live and we weren't live? Yeah, me too.
For 15 minutes.
Yeah. For like 10 minutes, we're talking to ourselves.
I'm telling you, just eloquent speech. I never had spoke better in my life, and it's all for naught now.
Oh, I'm sure. And what's so funny is I know Debbie's, your wife, is just probably like, what a dumbass.
No, she literally lives with me. There's only one major dumbass, and he's right here.
The friends of her dumbass.
Yeah,
yes. Just as dumbasses.
She's critical of me. She said, I'll tell her something, I'll say in the group or this or that. And she's just like, do you want friends? And I'm like, oh man, they know I'm kidding. I hope they know I'm kidding.
I think that you have to go with that. And that's the one thing about being older is that we just have to be light. You can't be so... I have gotten to where I really want this. I do want our channel to take off, and I would love it. Yep. But do I think that there's a chance that we're just going to have a good time together and we're going to interview some really cool people, and that's what we're after at this point. Yep. It's fun. We're trying to up our game. We're playing doing some new stuff. But as soon as it stops being fun, just like for you, it's time to hang up the boots and say, we did it.
I try and tune in every week. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes I got stuff going on. I try and at least come in and at least hit the thumbs up, like, hey, hey, I'm here type of thing. But I do appreciate that, it's not all metal and stuff like that. Is if you could see my playlist on my Spotify playlist, I am a weird metal guy because I love all sorts of music. It is all, I am all over the map. I like really, just very eclectic music. And it's just like, sometimes there's pop music, Jason Mraz or whatever will pop on my playlist, and I'm kind of going at it. It's just like, oh man, it's not very metal-y.
But you're a fan of music because you were raised in a place where good music is appreciated.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. That's, I specifically remember in the foyer of my grandmother's old house, listening to Bing Crosby Christmas every going down there. She had a record player, it was a little 45. I put the 45 on, I'd listen to Bing Crosby Christmas, and I can appreciate just music in general. I always have tunes. There's tunes at work. I got headphones out in the barn when I'm working on my go-karts. I got tunes out there. There's always, I the radio, I just bought a truck. The radio didn't work when I bought it. I ordered a Bluetooth radio to put in it. No CD player, which I probably should have gotten, but just so my phone would Bluetooth to it and I can listen to music because it is imperative. Must have tunes.
I agree with you. So James, you're kind of in the same boat as I am, where we're both. I think that James, I thought I was a little. At first I was a little apprehensive. Is he just going to like metal music? Is that all he likes? And then as we got to talk, he's such a big fan of all of the music and all the musicians that have come on. We're just like blown away every week that we have another great musician, and we can appreciate it. I think both of us have the same appreciation. So it's fun, and we come from two different generations of metal music, even.
Oh yeah, yep.
Or probably about 10, 15 years of difference in metal music. Yeah. I remember when metal music was Anthrax. Metallica wasn't even out yet. I remember when Metallica hit in like I remember Master of Puppets, but it wasn't mainstream yet. Like it didn't hit the radio yet. I remember it, and I remember the first time I saw an MTV like Headbangers Ball. And I was like, holy, and they were doing that was back when the whole headbanging was like the thing. And then they realized that they had to stop doing it because there was some, people were getting some brain concussions and there were some other ill effects of
not hard
there. Doug, my bassist there, essentially his family and like a second father and mother, John and Marie up there. They literally live, a block and a half away here. But I remember up in his bedroom, and we had listened to Megadeth and Metallica, and he's a huge Rush fan. Used to listen to Roll the Bones or whatever. That was a good tune, and Doug. I was into music back then, but Doug ushered me into a different, frame of mind of music, and got me into stuff like that. So, very much appreciative. He also got me to start smoking cigarettes. So, in the same, manner of thank you for the music, shame on you. No, it took me 20 years to quit those stinky things.
I remember I smoked for a very long time. Well, actually, I smoked OPCs for a very long time. Other people's cigarettes. So I would go to a bar and be like, hey, got a smoke? And occasionally I would buy them. But I remember the time that we first started smoking, we were at a casino, and I was like, me and my friend were there. And I said, I don't see anything lucky about these. And then I won like $500 at like, what was the game? It's like the lottery. And they just pick numbers on a
Powerball or something.
Oh, Keno.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Won $500 on Keno. We were like, we are never stopping smoking, are we?
Yeah. See, Doug chimed in. I knew that was going to get him.
Yeah.
It was a bad influence.
As soon as you mentioned the cigarettes, he's like, I'm
here. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yep.
But what's really fun is I love the fact that you have been doing this with your friends, and that's huge, because being able to play music and enjoy it with your friends to me that's what the epitome of music is.
Yep. That's Doug and our other there's three of us. Our other friend Jamie lives down in Daytona. He's kind of like the cheerleader. Only because I replaced him. The original band, when we started in high school, Jamie was the lead singer, and then I replaced him briefly. He played a live show. I never played a live show, but I replaced Jamie. And then ever since, Jamie's been our biggest cheerleader as far as that's awesome. He remembers all the old songs, the way they're like New Element used to be a lot faster. It's slower now. He says it's heavier now, but it's slower. And I'm like, you good pickup on that, because he's listened to everything, and Doug, Jamie, and I have been literally friends for 30 plus years, and and I've been making music with Doug since what did I say before, 98, I think we figured out. That's a long freaking time ago.
It is a long time ago. That's crazy. Yep. So the interesting thing is, what did you do prior to being the lead? What were you doing?
Oh, no. That's I was always I've never had a playing guitar type of thing. I was just friends with, and Doug says, hey, we're thinking about replacing Jamie. And I was just like, oh, I'll come up. And then I think it was Enter Sandman that got me the job. With again, we never played a show out, but that was, when I started showing up to band practice and Jamie wasn't anymore. And I always felt horrible about that. I felt so bad. He's one of my best friends, and I don't want to do that to anybody, but I also kind of wanted to be in a band, so I did it.
Yeah. That's cool though. I mean, but you guys have all put that behind you, of course.
Oh yeah,
that's all 30 years ago now. 30 years ago. When the heck did that happen?
It's crazy. Well, matter of fact, before probably half an hour before we jumped on here, I was talking with Jamie on the phone. Like, he lives in Florida, he's 1,200 miles away, but we talk like every week, or at least a couple times a week, or text back and forth or whatever, and it's always been that way. And I get to see Doug once a week, and it's just it's nice. It's I tried to explain that to my daughter years ago. She was crying over her friends being mean or blah blah blah, and I said, you're going to find those true friends that will last a lifetime. And I said, I know you don't believe me now, but when they come, you will know it, and then it will you can spend years apart, not seeing the person. As soon as they come back into your life, it's like nothing ever happened. They're right back to being who who they once were and who you once were. And it's nice. It's Jamie, Doug, and I, our friendship is real unique, and I appreciate the shit out of it. And I get to play music with one of them. It's great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That is really awesome. Yeah, what's interesting is as we get older, we don't have it's about the quality of the friendships we have and not the quantity of friendships we have. And we just get to have opportunities, and there's very small, and I think that we as older guys, we appreciate the guys that when they do come along, like our small little group of Instagram people, we have about 4 or 5 guys that talk on a daily basis. And I'll be honest with you, I feel just blessed to have that. If all of my internet experience and all I've done with social media turns out to I met 5 dudes that I can hang out with, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I have a co-host here who we talk about this. Just one time, I think on a live or something, I said, I'm going to do some Thursday shows. And he goes, hey, I'll do it with you.
Yeah,
and here we are.
Sometimes that's all it takes. Just like, hey, I like that idea.
I like doing live streams, and I'm like, it sucks to because they've got the Friday live streams and Saturday live streams, and I'm like, doing live streams, I mean, they're fun, what I'm saying, but it's like I can't join on them because I'm always working. What I'm saying, I'm working those days, right? But to have something where I'm like, oh, I'm off at night, like on Thursday or whatever, and I'm like, oh, why not?
Yep. And a year and a half later, we're still. Yeah, it has been a blast. We've had, it's been so fun, and that's what's really cool. And this is kind of a culmination, because this is Ben, who I'm really good friends with in the real world too, not just on the internet. And it's really cool to have. I mean, both of us, all 3 of us, have been just really blessed to have just a few handful of people that are really good friends. And I think the internet. There's so many people on the internet, and to find people that you kind of get along with and you can talk with, it's pretty cool.
It's a different dynamic. I meyn, we're all old enough that we have friends, the friends that we grew up with, friends that we've known forever. Like I was saying, and then you have this weird dynamic where it's people on the internet, and it's just like, oh, I've heard, I'm not picking on anybody, but I've heard, oh, my best friend, I know him on the internet. It's like, really though? Because you barely know them, like.
Do you really know them? That's a question. Do you really know them?
Because this is an intimate conversation, but some people put on a really good facade, like, hey, I'm this type of person. It's like, and I'm sure people buy into that. It's just like, Doug and Jamie know me in and out. They know my flaws. They know my, what triggers me, what not, all that stuff. Yep.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. And that's what's, hey, what's going on? What's going on? That's what's so cool. But that's what's so cool is that I think that there is a difference between real life and the internet life.
Yeah,
there is. And you can pretend to be whoever you want on the internet, and you can put a pretty good show on for a while.
Yeah.
And then people will, and then there's always, the thing that I got really tired of was the drama that goes along with social media. And, Yeah, that's kind of why we decided we're going to do. That's why I decided to just start doing the music focused stuff, because to me that was just exactly where our direction was already going, and I was just like happy to be doing something different than drama because of the internet. Because of the internet, and but you're like reliant on the internet at the same time. So what does to get your music out? You got to be on the internet. If you want to get successful, you got to have a good social media thing, and you have some marketing. So and it's so difficult to get just marketing to go right for you. I mean,
the problem I'm having with having all these different interests, the band thing, the racing thing, the YouTube channel thing, all the boxing thing now, it's just I'm divided up so much, and I try and get everything, as much attention as possible. But like, Monday I was just like, I think Doug said we're up to like 90 followers on there, and so the Sense page, I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, it'd probably be higher if I actually did something with it. I haven't posted in a while, and it's just like I only have so much, focus. like right. I can, and then now it's in my head. Within the next week or so, I'll be able to put up some more stuff, kind of, hey, we're still here type of thing. But it's also like I have so there's life happens, and it's just like, oh shit, I haven't done anything there. That's my bad.
That's the hardest thing, and I think that me and James are working on how to do the marketing better, and he makes really good ad videos and things like that. So I'm like, how can we do this? So we're going to be doing a little bit more, but it really does take a little bit of more effort to go do it. And then the time that you have, like an hour or two, you just have to gauge it. And it's also consistency.
Yeah. Yep.
That's like consistently hitting somebody up, or you want to pay money. I know. So there was a band, and I think that we've actually talked to them, but I'm not sure. But there was a band that paid like $50,000 in ad rep for ads on different platforms.
Yep.
To be able to get seen. And now they're seen, so they're fine. But it took them $50,000 out of their own pocket to keep pushing marketing ads. I try to do $10 a day or $10 a week, and that's still. Ooh.
I pushed. I spent the $10 whole on Facebook and pushed the EP a little bit, just from our page, just because it popped up. It was just like, hey, you can promote this. I was like, all right, what's this all about? I'm like, all right, $10, $10, and it got. I don't know about listens, but it got, the reach got out there. I'm like, I get it. I understand why people do it. Am I going to start, pouring money into it? Nope. That's it is, the return on it isn't, it's just like, I want people to hear it, but I also like, it could be me dumping a whole bunch of money into something that's going to go nowhere. I'm like, let's, I still got to eat, man.
Right. Well, and that's what I was telling James before we came into the show today. I said, it's fun to do some of the stuff with the backup. We're not going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to do tasty licks as it is right now. If we started getting revenue coming in, that would be a completely different story. And that's our goal. Actually, our goal is to have fun. But if revenue starts happening because we do a little bit of tweaks to make it look more professional, and bands come in and they want to be part of the show because we do have a professionality to it.
Right.
But if it doesn't make it, at least I didn't feel like we spent so much money and it failed, because you don't want to spend $20,000 and you sucked anyway. And that's the other thing, is getting people to tell you the truth. Like, I have a few people that will tell me the truth on what I should be doing. Everybody else is like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but what do we need to work on? I can't fix stuff when I'm not getting the subscribers and I'm not doing something to get people to show up. What is it that I am not? Am I just old? Am I just too young? Do I talk too much? What is it?
I am all the above things.
Yeah. or no time, you know, and like when I see people up till 4 a.m. doing videos, I wouldn't do that. I'm not a kid.
I get it. I understand. I fully respect the drive. I fully respect the skills and everything like that. But it's like, dude, I like my own time. Like right now, you know, I'm having a conversation with you guys, which is fine. But right now, like I'm making coffee for the morning. I'm getting my shower. I sit in my recliner, or lay on the couch or something. I watch some TV. It's just bedtime. It's just like, you want me to record videos? I don't think so.
I've done that like multiple times too. I remember always being up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, you know, I'm saying, wake up for work in like 4 hours or something like that, or it just it starts getting into crazy time, into your time, like he said, and when you have a job and you're busy doing other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I think my first job would suffer. I used to work with a guy who did a second job, overnight job. And he got fired from his real job, the one that was actually making the most money, because he couldn't stay awake because he was so tired from doing that. To me, I have to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Ooh. I have to get it, or try to get 6.
Yeah.
You know, if I get 6 is a minimum for me. If I get 6 hours of sleep, I'm still really tired. But I go to bed at like 10. I get up at 6, 6:30, and that is if I don't get that amount of sleep, I'm not happy. I'm really tired.
That is a point of contention at work. That my coworker, he was just like, "Oh, I was up at 5 this morning. You know, I can't believe you sleep until 7:15." And I'm like, "When did you go to bed?" He's like, "Oh, I was in bed by 8 or 9." I'm like, "Yeah, I went to bed at 12:30." So, yep, it's the same. Go. It's just shifted. Like the reason I sleep till 7 is because I stay up later than you. If I went to bed at 8 or 9, I would probably be up at 5 in the morning. It's the same thing.
It is, and that's the whole thing. But who gets? And this is the hardest part. Is like I go to bed at 10, and going to bed at 10 is like we'll watch an hour worth of Netflix before we go to bed, and then that's when I'm trying to do that's my downtime. Yeah. And if I don't get the downtime, or if I drink, the other thing I realized, if I drink caffeine too late in the night, I will not go to bed, and I'll be like tossing and turning for 2 or 3 hours.
I'm one of those weird people, the ADD people. I can literally drink a pot of coffee and go to sleep. It doesn't affect me at all. I drink coffee because I love coffee. I love the taste of coffee. It's not because it gives me an amp up in the morning. I'm still just as tired, like sloughing around, like, yep.
I've actually seen that. Yep. Yeah, I've actually seen that with Ben, because we got a chance to hang out, and I think you had a bunch of caffeine, and you're like, and you said the same thing. I can drink this pot of coffee and go to bed, and I'm like, if I drink that pot of coffee, I couldn't go to sleep. Now, what I regretted about Jersey, and I've thought about this ever since, about if I would have just brought my breathing machine, I would have slept so much better and had so much more fun, except for it was raining the entire time. But
turns out, though, that CBD chocolates will make me go poop and take a nap. That happens.
I kid you not. We're all hanging out. We're all hanging out in like Ken's room. We're just chatting and watching some shows or something. Yep. And I'm like, I think Ben said he just had to go to the bathroom, and we had come back from a place where they had, and you have to admit that whatever it was that she had in him was good.
Oh,
it was like, it tasted good. Like, this lady was on her game for making CBD related gummies and food.
Yep.
Chocolates,
the chocolate was so good too. You didn't pick up anything. You didn't get any, that skunky taste or anything like that. It was delicious chocolate. And I just remember sitting there like, all right, I got to go to the bathroom, I'm going to wander off. And I was full on chill mode. And I went to the bathroom and I kind of laid down on the bed, and I was like, oh, just checking out my, that was it.
Like
a couple hours. I was out.
2 hours. That's exactly what I was going to say. 2 hours later, we're like, where did Ben go? I was like, I think he took. Well, we all kind of figured out that probably had a great.
It wiped me out. I mean, CBD doesn't typically make me tired, but it does relax me, like to an extreme level, especially when it was, apparently fairly potent. And yeah, it knocked me out. It was a good nap too. I woke up, I'm like, yeah.
I think it was like, yeah, I can't remember what they called it, like Delta or something. It had like some extra. It was extra potent.
Delta 8.
But the fact that it was
Delta
really
8.
good, yeah,
Yep.
Supposedly it was really.
I tried
good,
those before. I tried the gummies. I actually want to give away. Like, well, no way, I want to give away. But I want to give away from a CBD company, and it had Delta 8 in it, and it had the gummies, and it had like whatever, like syrup you can add in your drink or whatever. But I tried the gummies. I put 2. I think I tried 2 at first, and actually, I took a nap. This is at night. It was like 10 o'clock at night. So I took 2. I passed out, not from the gummies, but just passed out.
Yep.
But then I woke up at like 3, and I was still like I was high. Like I'm like, oh my god, that's like that's crazy. Like I definitely need to tone that down a notch.
Yep, I got gummies here, and the one thing about it, I sometimes go through. I don't sleep bad, but sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night, just pee or whatever, and it'll be consecutive. And it was just like, all right. And then I got a new batch of, I think it's Diamond CBD or whatever. And I take 3 or 4 of them before I go to bed and right through the night. Like I don't, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, 7 o'clock. Okay.
I enjoyed, I don't, Christy does the CBD, or actually, no, she doesn't even do CBD. She just does the full-on THC variety, and she has to eat 2 of them, and she goes to bed.
Right.
I don't do that stuff, so I'm just like watching her, and she has to do 2 because and those are 10 milligrams. If she doesn't do 20, nothing. Yeah. Like she doesn't even feel it. So I'm just like, but they look like they're just little bears,
nice and innocent, and this and that, and next thing you know,
they look good. Yeah,
What's funny is after I woke up, I told my mom this too. She started laughing. After I woke up, I think it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I still felt the effects of it, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like I couldn't go to bed right away, but I was making my bed. And it literally took me like 15 minutes to make my bed. It was just like, oh my god, I need to like lay down or something, or just watch TV. Like, just stop making your damn bed.
Yep,
it was fun. I'm just like, I'm not making it. This is too long to make a bed.
That's hilarious. Well, guys, I am going to call this. I got a Cardinal game that I'm missing, and I'm seeing that it's like only 17-14.
Well,
so
technically, we've been on an hour and a half. Just 15 minutes wasn't recorded.
I know. I can't even believe it. That's a new one for me. Attention to detail. Sometimes I need.
Yep.
But we will talk to you all later. It was again. We'll have you on again, Ben. It was always fun.
Anytime.
We always have a great conversation.
Holler if you need a fill in. I got no problem.
Never a fill-in, just always a good conversation. And also, we're always interested in seeing. The kids are coming.
You're in trouble now.
So, yep. So we'll talk to you guys later. I have grandkids coming at the door, so we're almost there. So we'll talk to you guys later.
Knock it out.
See you guys.